Hey everyone, Poindexter here, and we continue our playthrough of the solitaire wargame Western Front Ace. Captain Daladier scored no victories during the last two patrols. One victory was denied due to chronic gun jams, and the other because the pilot was an expert, foiling Albert's every attempt to take him down, and revealing to our good captain that this section of the front contains some very skilled pilots. We have one more patrol to fly before December ends, so let's get started, and hope we have better luck this time around. Albert's last mission of December will be another bomber escort. This requires us to escort a flight of two-seaters to enemy territory and back, engaging any scouts along the way, but not enemy two-seaters, as they are not a priority. Albert and his wingman take off, and we check for our first encounter. But no encounter takes place. The flight moves into friendly territory, and Albert looks around for signs of enemy aircraft. But no aircraft are spotted. The group moves across no man's land, and our chances of encountering enemy scouts increases. And a flight of German two-seaters is spotted, but they are ignored as German scouts are the priority on this mission. The flight makes it to enemy territory, and the two-seaters begin their bomb runs. We check for enemy encounters, but still no enemy scouts are spotted. Our two-seaters drop their bombs, and we make our way back to no man's land. Albert scans the sky for any German scouts and fails to spot any enemy aircraft. We make our way to friendly territory, and Albert and his wingman try once again to spot aircraft. And the Germans finally make an appearance as enemy scouts are spotted. The aircraft are Halberstadt D-2s. But even with Albert's situational awareness, the enemy begins combat with the advantage. Albert will use his advanced maneuver, the Cuban 8, to gain a position and avoid one random hit. The German scout fires and scores 5 hits, but we remove 1 hit thanks to our Cuban 8 maneuver. And the German pilot is a crack shot, severely damaging the starboard struts and weakening the right wing. Albert's maneuver brings him head-on to the Halberstadt. And we now determine final positions in the initiative check. But the Halberstadt maneuvers hard, and even with situational awareness, the two scouts remain head-on. It's another do-or-die moment for Albert. One more hit to the starboard struts, and his Spad will be destroyed. So he will use reflexes to get the first shot in this round and fire an extended burst for good measure. Albert fires a long burst at the German scout and destroys the Halberstadt outright. No extended burst needed. The German scout breaks apart and crashes in friendly territory. Albert has finally scored another victory, his 18th kill. Albert now has the airfield in sight, and we check for one final encounter. But no further encounters take place. Albert begins his landing, and we check the weather. And the weather is good. Despite the damage to Albert's Spad, no critical damage was caused, so he performs an automatic safe landing. The Spad's right wing is repaired in time for the next patrol. And we document Albert's latest success in the pilot log. Albert also gains an experience point after this patrol. A new year has begun, the final year of the war. Since we're starting a new month, we first shuffle the combat cards. The Arras offensive is concluded, and there are no other ground offensives taking place for the time being. The new year also brings the introduction of new German scouts, such as the Albatross D5A, the Fokker DR-1 triplane, and the Falls D3A. Except for the Falls D3, these scouts have better performance than the Albatross D3s we have been fighting, so it's not going to be a cakewalk in the skies over the front. Now, we determine how many patrols we'll be flying this month. We roll a 2, but add +1 to the total since Albert is an ace, so it'll be 3 patrols. We move over to the 1918 section on the Allied missions chart and roll for our first mission of the year. And it will be a line patrol. Albert and his wingman will fly to the front lines and patrol the area, engaging any enemy aircraft we spot. Albert and his wingman take off, and we check for our first encounter. But no aircraft are spotted. We move to friendly territory and check for another encounter, and the skies are clear of enemies. Albert begins his patrol over no man's land, and he looks around for German aircraft, and quickly spies a flight of German scouts. The fighters are our old nemesis, the Albatross D3. And Albert's situational awareness saves him from beginning combat with a disadvantage, and instead, the 2 scouts meet head-on. Albert uses reflexes to get in the first shot in this combat round. He fires and lands 4 hits. 2 hits strike the struts, but the other 2 have no effect, hitting canvas. The Albatross fires back and scores 5 hits. And the burst is deadly accurate. The engine and fuel tank are hit, along with 2 hits to the port struts. The hit to the fuel tank only causes a leak. Now we determine the final positions, and we must apply a -2 modifier to the SPAD because of the hit to the engine. And it doesn't go well for Albert. The Albatross wins the initiative with a 3-point edge, and now has the advantage over the SPAD. Albert is in a desperate position. We'll draw a combat card for our defense maneuver this combat round, and hope we get a good one. The Albatross fires and lands 4 possible hits. We draw a defensive card, and we perform a tight turn, improving our position by 1, but the hits are still applied. The SPAD's port struts are destroyed, and the left wing collapses. Albert has been shot down and crashes in the pockmarked battlefield of no man's land. The glorious career of Captain Albert Daladier is over. He scored 18 victories during his 10 months of combat, which puts us in the marginal victory category. Certainly not amongst the great aces of the war, but a respectable historical footnote nonetheless. We say goodbye to a very respectable French ace, and the best pilot of this video playthrough. And with this video, we've reached the end of our playthrough for Western Front Ace. Or have we? That's for you guys to decide. I had originally intended to play through the end of the game, October 1918, and to continue with the final major player on the Western Front, the United States. So you guys let me know if this is something you'd like me to continue with, or is it time to move on to the next series playthrough? I'll be putting a poll on my channel in the next few days for you to decide where we go from here, or you can just leave it in the comments, so let me know what you think. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.